Thank you.
Good morning, San Ysidro educators. I'm hopeful that you have all had some time to relax and recharge over this spring break. This year has marked many challenges and struggles for us, but it is also marked by successes that a year ago we would not have thought possible. As we prepare to launch our next instructional phase, we renew our promise to support you and the work that you do on our continued journey. It is my pleasure to welcome our superintendent, Dr. Gina Potter.
Good morning, everyone. And on behalf of the San Ysidro School District, I warmly welcome you back from spring break to our certificated spring professional development. I hope you were able to take time to rest, recover, and rejuvenate, as this school year has likely been the most difficult one. Oops, one moment. The most difficult one that we have each experienced in our educational careers due to the pandemic. Spring has brought to our country a sense of hope as the COVID vaccines have become available to essential workers, individuals 50 and older, medically fragile individuals, and in San Diego County to all educators. Our county anticipates releasing the next phase of access to the vaccines to those 16 and older by mid-April. This exciting news brings with it the beginning of a slow return to life as we once knew it, or phased steps to normalcy. For our district and the majority of schools in California, spring marks the first time we will begin to open our schools for students to attend in person in over one school year. Teachers and certificated staff members, I sincerely thank you for the heroic efforts you have undertaken to learn and master the delivery of the distance learning program. I also express our district's deep gratitude to each of you as we now shift to phase 3 of our school reopening plan, which allows us to launch the hybrid learning program. It is with our district theme of the year, Together, that we will each bring one another the courage and the strength we need to safely, to safely reopen our schools for our students. Thank you for the courage and desire that you each have to ensure that our students, many of whom come from vulnerable backgrounds, have an equitable opportunity to attend school in person amidst this unprecedented time. Now it is my honor to share the stage with our board president, Mr. Antonio Martinez, who will represent the governing board in welcoming and expressing gratitude to each of you. Mr. Martinez.
Thank you, Dr. Potter. Good morning, everyone. Just want to welcome each and every one of you back from spring break. More than a year ago today, we've been through this journey, this pandemic. And the first thing I want to say to each and every one of you is thank you for what you do. You've always been my heroes, and you continue to be my heroes. You and our classified staff are the foundation of our school district. So above everything else, moving forward, we have a great program for you today, but moving forward, I just want to make my commitment and the board's commitment to safety first. When we launch our hybrid program, that's going to be the priority above everything else. So I just want to say that, we have a little short time for this school year, and the next school year, safety will continue to be the priority moving forward. So I just want to say thank you again. Welcome back. You're my heroes. Love you all. And let's continue.
So I just wanted to give you kind of a brief overview of today's agenda. We're going to open with Restorative Practices refresher, and then Dr. Farkas will walk us through some student training videos as we get ready to welcome our students back to campus. Mr. Lewis will do an overview of our technology that has been added to your classrooms, both in terms of hardware and supports to get you launched on this new journey of hybrid instruction. And then we will have about an hour of PD focused on engagement strategies in this new hybrid learning environment. We're very fortunate today to be joined by a team from both the San Diego County District Attorney's Office and the San Diego County Office of Education for a Restorative Practices refresher. As all of you know, this has been a journey that we have joined on with them for now close to 3 years, about 2.5 years. And it's my pleasure to introduce to you this morning District Attorney Summer Stephan, who has devoted her life to protecting children and families, providing justice to the most vulnerable, and is a national leader in the fight against human trafficking and sexual exploitation. She is focused on advancing public safety through fair and equal justice, bringing solutions to complex issues with unique data-driven, common sense approaches that work to address the root causes of certain crimes driven by mental illness and addiction. District Attorney Stephan leverages her extensive courtroom management and leadership experience to set clear public safety priorities in collaboration with law enforcement and the community, keeping San Diego County one of the safest urban regions in the United States. We are grateful to welcome her and her team today as they join us in our continued work on restorative practices. District Attorney Stephan.
Thank you, Ms. Gonzalez. It's great to be with you. And thank you, Superintendent Gina Potter, for this continued honor to come together with you and your amazing team. And great to hear from Board President Martinez. I am so excited about this morning, and I just feel so grateful for all of you teachers, over 200 of you. As I've shared with you before, I come from a family of teachers, and there is nothing that can replace teaching a child. That is one of the most transformative things after their parents for their life and their life success. As district attorney of this incredible county, the well-being of children is a top priority for me. And making sure that we do everything possible early on to really break and be a model in San Diego of how you destroy that school to prison pipeline. We want to see our children thrive, and we've learned that school and school educators being trained on restorative practices to really be able to differentiate between a child in trauma as opposed to a child that is trying to misbehave and to be destructive, but rather see that their soul is hurting and why it's hurting, and bringing the right language and the right connection and the right resources to that child. That is at the heart of building a healthy and safe community for the future. So being able, with my amazing team, Kamal Johnson, our restorative justice coordinator, and Marissa Bejarano, our community partnership prosecutor, to join you again this morning for this refresher. You were the first school district under the leadership of Superintendent Potter to be thinking ahead to the future on how to fortify you with the tools, because your heart is with the children, but giving you those practical tools on how to deal with it. And my last point to you is how important this refresher and this morning is, because the data unfortunately shows that despite the best efforts of school districts, we have seen, and I have tracked, an alarming increase in online exploitation of children. Our Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force has tracked a triple effect. As an example, in the month of December, we'd get 160 reports. We received over 600 reports of Internet crimes against children. Rady's Children's Hospital has reported again a 90% upwards increase in suicide ideation and in depression and other really, really disturbing signs with our children. At the same time, we have seen a lowered 40% lowered number of reporting to the child abuse hotline, because you are, after all, the best eyes and ears. So I just want to let you know that you could get children that have been injured, hurt, harmed, and they come to you with that trauma, additional trauma, and your eyes and ear, your mandated reporting, your restorative practices expertise is going to be life-saving. And I thank you so much, and welcome and good morning to all of you.
Thank you, District Attorney Stephan. It's now my pleasure to introduce a member of your team, Kamal Johnson, who has worked in the restorative justice field since he was a teenager, apparently. And that includes his work with the Peace and Justice Youth Initiative, his studies of peace studies and diplomacy, and law and restorative justice. Please welcome Kamal Johnson.
Thank you, Cynthia, and thank you, Summer, for that great introduction. I think it's so important, and most important, good morning to San Isidro. I don't want to do favorites, but you guys have definitely been a great experience with our office, and just really being vulnerable and sharing your hearts and allowing us in. And we've had a great time working with you guys, and we look forward to doing more. And to kind of segue from what our District Attorney, Summer Stephan, has greatly talked about, is really a window of opportunity. And I kind of wanted to start today with a quote, and it's from Roy Bennett. And he says, "Don't just learn, experience. Don't just read, absorb. Don't just change, transform. Don't just relate, advocate. Don't just promise, prove. Don't just criticize, encourage. Don't just think, ponder. Don't just take, but give. Don't just see, feel. Don't just dream, do. Don't just hear, listen. Don't just talk, act. And just don't tell, but show. And don't exist and live." And as we come back, we have to be clear. Although this is a spring break for many teachers, this isn't a spring break. This isn't a Christmas holiday where kids are going to come back and talk about the toys that they got, from winter break. And it's not a summertime fine where we get to talk about how fit we got over the summer as adults, right? Although I'm not judging if you did your home workouts, right? Let's keep it in shape. Our youth, including us as adults, we've had to, and we continue to adjust to significant changing experiences, perspectives, and a new normal. And if it was hard on us, we have to internalize that it was harder on our youth. However, we can't just state that, right? We have to embody that in the way that we treat, the way that we speak, and the way that we interact with our students and our fellow colleagues. And so I invite you to think about when you come back to the class in a half virtual, half in-house. We have to expect, it may take some time for everybody to adjust. So how patient are you going to be when there's an unmuted screen and somebody's talking simultaneously in your class? How patient are you when someone's crying, when everybody's dealing with these emotions simultaneously? And it doesn't have to happen, but it could. We're all going through this through our first time. Nobody is wrong. Everybody is simply, as stated in the quote, existing, hoping to live. However, instead of looking at this as a negative thing, as an obstacle, I invite you to look at this as a new start, as a window of opportunity to restore empathy, to bring back unity back into the classroom and the school community, which we all know San Isidro is a great example of already. It's a chance to recreate a new definition of what it means to be a teacher and how students perceive teachers and school staff. And with this understanding and help, we get a second shot at truly building up and responding to the whole child. And so I go back to the poem, let's not just change, let's transform. And I'll pass the virtual mic to our Anthony Seha, and I'll let Cynthia do that. So thank you, guys.
We're also fortunate today to be joined by a team at the San Diego County Office of Education led by Mr. Anthony Seja, who has more than 30 years supporting homeless, displaced youth, gang members. Over the past 7 years. He has been working for Restorative Practices at the San Diego County Office of Education, where he's trained more than 10,000 educators. And his leadership currently is on multi-tiered systems of support, positive behavior intervention and support. And it's my pleasure to introduce Mr. Anthony Seja from the San Diego County Office of Education this morning.
Thank you, Cynthia, and thank you, Kamal. I just, really want to start by, saying that this is a privilege to be here amidst all of the educators that are a part of this. I want to first of all definitely say thank you for your service. Many of you have struggled through the distance learning and the challenges that I've heard from educators all throughout our county, and how frustrating that was for people to try to engage our students, and then the feeling that was so difficult for so many teachers, as they love their kids, and yet we're really challenged. So I want to thank you for not giving up, for continuing this great fight to engage our students. And as they begin, this process of coming back, I echo Kamal's comments to say, I believe that really what we need to do is not only, what many educators are kind of anxious about is the learning loss. But we say, why not focus also on the learning gain? Because we have now faced something together as a community that we've never faced, none of us have ever faced in our lives, this pandemic. And many of us, teachers and educators, have also experienced high levels of trauma. When I say that, I mean the loss of our loved ones. Many of us have lost loved ones due to this pandemic. And many of us have lost loved ones over this past year due to other reasons as well. And there's a great anxiety. I know that as people are coming back to the classroom, many teachers have, challenges with their own immune systems and things. So believe me, I understand that. And that's why I say, I believe that you all are doing this great heroic work of finding a way to come back. And so when we say we're about restoring, so my question is, what are we restoring? And my hope is that we're not just trying to go back to normal, but we say we're going to restore in such a way that we truly restore people's human dignity, right? The human dignity that they deserve, whether they are at the highest level of functioning, or they're at a lower level of functioning. But as the San Ysidro community is saying, the district is saying, is it's our role to embrace everybody, every human being with the highest level of dignity possible. And by the way, that comes through every human interaction. Right? It's not just, we're going to put up a poster and say that we're a restorative community. Kids need to feel that, and they feel that, and they learn that through every human interaction. That's where it is. That's where the trenches are. And I always feel like this: we have to start with us, with the adults. So it's going to be our role to embrace every teacher, every classified staff, right where they are, with all their anxieties and all their challenges. And because accepting people and embracing them where they are is the first step towards developing a restorative community. There's no other way. That is the way. And so what we say is we are going to support and challenge each other to continue to do that. And as adults, we are going to model it first, right? As professionals dedicated to educating our community, we say a lot of education happens through modeling. The young people are looking at us and seeing how do we treat each other. And the hope is this, that San Isidro district will be that shining light that anyone that visits, anyone that participates in that community says, wow, look at the way they care for each other. Look at the way that they are helping people to feel safe again, to restore a sense of hope, that the educational community can be a place of healing and restoration. And again, I have to keep reminding us that kind of community is built on every human interaction, meaning that we need to be very conscious, right? Very mindful about our interactions, that even the tone of our voice, the tone of our messages when we send emails and texts, but also the learning and the teaching is maximized. It's magnified when there's conflict. So we say when there are those challenging students and even challenging adults, then we dig even deeper and we respond in a way that is trauma sensitive. That what we see in that behavior that typically pushes buttons and makes us frustrated and maybe defensive, we push ourselves to the higher level and we say, I am going to be in San Isidro an instrument of restoration and healing. And I'm going to make sure that I have reminded myself every day, to take the time to remind myself, who am I as an educator? What am I about in San Isidro? I'm not just about, teaching this one subject. I'm about teaching human beings, right? That we, in this district at least, where we have at least some control, we say, this is what we stand for, the humanity, the dignity and the humanity of every child and every human being is the highest priority above even academics. And I know for some people, they may think, what? Yeah, yes, I know what I'm saying, right? The dignity of every child and every human being in San Isidro School District should be at the highest priority. That means all of us continually put that as our highest priority. And then good learning of academics is built on that. That's the restorative mindset. And so I'm here just to kind of remind us, this is hard work. We know it's hard work in our own homes, right? Where we've been trying to practice this, being patient and kind and caring and forgiving. And we're saying we need to truly bring that to our classrooms, to the offices where we work. And we know if you're a human being like I am, you know this is difficult. It's challenging. We're human beings. We're not perfect. And people's attitudes, the things they say, the way they act will sometimes push our buttons and it kind of, for me, I know sometimes it tries to kind of push me to maybe to try to become defensive and try to make my point. But I try to pull on what I do every morning, my own self-care. And it's not a selfish thing. My own self-care is a dedication for me as an educator to be my best self for others. I must do that. And so I really, truly try to remind you of that and to try to be as flexible, as caring, and even loving as we can be with each other, And, I also want you to know that, I'm here at the County Office of Ed, and I know our great team is here, from our district attorney's office to support you and to encourage you and to help you in any way, right? To help you, really, maybe we just remind you of who you are, right? And in this restorative path. So we are really about doing this kind of building this restorative community, which truly is the foundation of I guess of developing the social emotional wellness that we promote. So I just want to let you know I'm here if I can be of service, and I'm really happy to partner with you. I'd like to pass this to Marissa Bejarano, our community partnership prosecutor from the district attorney's office. And I just want to say, working with Marissa is just a pleasure and an honor. She truly, to me, is a model of like the best DA's office that I've been in contact with. So Marissa.
Thank you so much for those kind words, Anthony. And thank you to San Ysidro for allowing us to be a part of this professional development program. I think it really is a testament to San Ysidro, to the school district, about the importance that they are placing on restorative practices to invite us back again. And when you hear restorative practices, you hear the term practices, and as Anthony just alluded to, that's really what it takes. It takes the continued practice and use of these tools to really make a difference and to see the value that they are able to create in terms of creating a community. One of the discussions that we had when we were preparing for this refresher course is that you all as educators, you really want to understand, what is restorative practices going to look like in this new hybrid setting? And some of you are probably asking yourselves, this all sounds great, but how do I really make it work in practice? How am I going to be able to build a connection with my students when I have half of my students in the classroom and the other half of them at home online? So we understand that is something that many of you are probably asking yourselves. But I'm excited to be here to let you know that I have personally witnessed and seen it done successfully in the same hybrid model. So in addition to being a community partnership prosecutor, I'm also the mother of a fourth grader. And he is currently in a hybrid system that is very similar to what is being implemented in San Ysidro, where half of his class is in person, and then the other half of them are at home online. And I've been able to witness his teacher, and I've been able to speak with her about how she's been able to successfully still use check-ins with students being in two different places, and how she's still been able to build a connection with her students in that type of a setting. And so, for the daily check-ins, many of you heard when we've done these professional developments previously, it's about checking in with a child. And generally, the most common is to ask the child is how are they feeling that day on a scale of 1 to 10 and why? Just so that you have an idea as to where that child is coming from that day before getting to any topic, any subject matter that needs to be taught that day. But there are other ways of also checking in with the students without using the numbers. Something else that I've seen done is asking the students a silly question. For example, would you rather eat breakfast meals for dinner every day? Or would you rather have dinner meals for breakfast every day, and why? And that too just helps to build that community with your students. Hearing a child say that they want to eat macaroni and cheese for breakfast every day, that's going to make other students laugh. That's going to make some students bond with that student. And at the same time, there might be some other students that say, you know what, I don't like that. That's not what I want to do. And that in itself, children seeing the differences that they might have with other students, but understanding that it's okay just to be respectful of those other decisions without judging the other students. that's going to help build the community with your students. And you're going to be able to do that, again, despite the fact that you are having students in 2 different locations. Something else that I've also seen done, both with adults and with children, is using images with 9 boxes in them. And so a very popular one that makes children and adults laugh is a large box with 9 images of cats, and asking, the children, which cat do you relate to at this moment and why? And you might have some cats that look like they just woke up, other cats that are relaxing, but just using those types of images or using emoji faces or colors all can help just really spark your start of your day, help to, again, build that understanding and compassion, and really just help create a community, which is what restorative practices is all about. And also to help build compassion and empathy, which as District Attorney Stephan said, is really, that's part of what is the key to helping us really not just disrupt the school to prison pipeline, but really destroy it by building this empathy and compassion and coming to the students where they are and offering support. So again, thank you for having us. Again, that's just one sample of what can be actually utilized in the classroom. And with that, I will turn it back over to Cynthia.
Thank you, Ms. Bejarano. Those are amazing examples of how to build community within a classroom. We appreciate that. Our final presenter on restorative practice this morning is Jennifer Vermillion. She's a program specialist of student services and programs with the San Diego County Office of Education. In her work there, she has worked in training and assisting educators with multi-tiered systems of support, PBIS, and restorative practice initiatives. And she worked prior to that for 5 years supporting schools in San Diego with restorative practice implementation, training, and student leadership initiatives. So welcome, Ms. Vermillion.
Thank you, Cynthia, and thank you, Marissa. And good morning to everybody else that's on here as well. I just want to take a moment as I'm kind of closing us out during this portion, is just to remind us that the way that we respond to students, the way that we merge both our actions with our words are also going to speak volumes and really communicate a true restorative practice. For instance, Marissa just gave a great example of what that might look like to do a very easy task and something that we do all the time, even with other adults, right? Just checking in with one another and asking how they're doing. But we need to also take the extra step to follow up with the student that says they aren't doing well, or says on a scale of 1 to 10 that they're feeling like a 1, or even better, to encourage and empower our students to be leaders by checking in on one another. And likewise, that when a student says that they're doing really well, or on a scale of 1 to 10, they're feeling like they're an 11, that we get to celebrate with those students and encourage our students to celebrate with one another when things go really well also. And when we do that, when we do those sorts of things, that's when we see that our words and our actions become aligned. But we can also be restorative in every interaction. I think one misconception I often hear about restorative practices is that we are only restorative when we're sitting in circles, and that could not be further from the truth. That's a great tool to be restorative, but from the moment that a student walks through your door in your classroom, there's an opportunity to be restorative with that student by the way that we interact, by the way that we greet them. If they misbehave in class, do we stay mad at them and do we hold a grudge against them throughout the entire class? Or can we move past that and move back to welcoming them into our classroom, to being glad that they're there, to being happy and showing that we are happy that they are a part of our community. Restorative practices never was and never will be just a list of things to do that we check off, and we can't treat it like a magic wand that fixes our children. Restorative practices works because it meets the human need of connection and community. And in this pandemic time that we're in, I think we've all experienced, we can all agree that that's an incredible need, that we have an incredible need, both us as adults, but also our children for both of those things. We have to be doing the work of connecting as human beings, like Anthony was just talking about, both with one another as adults, but also with our students in order to create meaningful relationships and make our schools a place where students are feeling safe, feeling valued, feeling seen and cared for. So thank you.
Once again, I'd like to thank the team from the San Diego County District Attorney's Office and the San Diego County Office of Education for their continued support with our restorative practices in our district. We are grateful for your continued partnership, and we look forward to continuing this very important work with all of you. So could I get the next? Thank you. And it's my pleasure to introduce Dr. David Farkas, San Ysidro School District Assistant Superintendent, as he reviews some student training videos with you.
Good morning, everyone. I hope you had a safe and wonderful break. I'm going to make this very short, and we're actually not going to show the video at this time. It might be something you want to preview on Saturday night with some popcorn. It's a accessible link that's welcomeback.mp4, and soon we are going to turn it into a YouTube link that's even easier to access. The goal of the video is to share it with our students next Wednesday, so it's fresh and ready for the upcoming reopening week. I'd like to thank Mr. Acevedo for his incredible talent. He's multi-talented at editing and directing, and he took an 8-minute video down to 4 minutes, made it really student-friendly. So we're really excited to share this with everyone. I also want to thank Mr. Burciaga at Sunset for opening up the school and helping us throughout the video. He is part of our Spanish delivery that's simultaneous, so it's really great. We're really proud and thankful. I want to thank everybody for getting their test proof in over the break. Every time I open my emails, there's 20 more in, so thank you so much for, I know it's not exactly enjoyable to go out and find testing, but it's very important when we're asymptomatic to still test. So thank you for doing that. I really appreciate it. There's one more link at the bottom on the left. It's for younger students. It could probably go out to any elementary student. I'm sure the 5th and 6th graders would get a kick out of it. It's more of a cartoon about masks and reopening. It's only 2 minutes from Keenan. So feel free to share that with the students as well. But the primary video is the one we want to send out to grades TK all the way up to grades 8. Welcome back. Let's see. The other topic is, when would middle school, we always want to remember that we want all our middle school students to be able to see it if they're coming back for hybrid. So 3rd period would be the target. If you're a 3rd period teacher for middle school, please show it at that time next Wednesday. And I'll send out another reminder on Tuesday. And then principals will follow up with more communication, not only to staff, but to families in regard to any other reopening measures through a letter that will be going out probably next week on Monday or Tuesday. And that's pretty much all I have. I just want to thank everybody for your support throughout the process. And again, thanks to the maintenance teams for getting our schools prepared. That's all I have, Cynthia. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you, Dr. Farkas. So quickly, I just want to go over a little information about the district hybrid learning program as we get ready to launch this last part of our instructional phases for this school year. For the hybrid program, on Tuesdays and Thursdays, or Mondays and Tuesdays, depending on your school site, you will be, if you are a teacher on campus, delivering simultaneous instruction. So that just means that you would be both instructing the students who you have in front of you and the online students simultaneously. Our professional development this afternoon will be primarily focused on engagement strategies that will help you to manage the 2 classrooms at the same time and to be able to integrate the instruction to both of the groups at the same time. In support of that simultaneous instruction, Mr. Lewis will speak in a minute or two on his slide about the desktop webcams, the wireless microphone and headphones provided, as well as some support that will be out on campuses to support you to make sure that all of your technology is up and running. Just some more information for you. Most students in this new environment will remain with their current teacher. We did have a 3rd family survey that Dr. Farkas led along with the school site principals, where families chose either distance learning or the hybrid learning environment, and the principals are working on those rosters to provide to all of you teachers very soon. We will have an optional district virtual staff school reopening kickoff event on Tuesday, April 6th. Please be on the lookout for more information with times and the link for that event. And the district reopening for telebriefing for parents will be on Thursday, April 8th, so that we're able to give all of our parents the information regarding schedules and safety that they need to be able to send their students back to our campuses. The next slide is going to be Mr. Lewis showing, giving some information on a technology overview, and he's our Director of Educational Technology.
Good morning, everybody. I wanted to take a moment just to go over a few things that may be helpful to everyone with the classroom technology. I'll start off with a desktop login. This is the same as it was in the past, and it's the same as your laptop if you have a laptop. But I just wanted to make sure everybody aware it is different than the Google because it's a different system. So it's different than logging into Google. And you have to use your older email address, the @sysd.k12.ca.us. If you have any issues, let us know. But that it should be pretty simple. We have also went to each classroom and done testing on the teacher computer. We made sure the teacher computer was working. We tested the DocuCam. We also tested the smartboard, and we installed a web camera, similar to, I don't know if you can see it well, but similar to this one I have here. So all teacher computers have a webcam. It should work seamlessly, just like your laptop. Basically, you can open Google Meet and use your workstation and your classroom teacher computer instead of a laptop, or you can use both. We also have some headphones. We have these Bluetooth headphones. Again, I don't know if it's showing that well, but we're going to provide these to the school sites so each teacher can get a headphone like this, and it has a little boom mic here, and it's Bluetooth and wireless on your head. One of the other things I wanted to talk about was tech support. I want to encourage everybody to continue to do school dude work orders, especially as soon as you find out about issues, so we can get someone scheduled to come over and help. Any emergencies, please contact us directly. In addition to that, on April 2nd, April 12th, April 13th, and April 16th, we'll have technicians out to the school sites to help support any issues that come up. So please reach out to us. Let us know any problems that you have or any concerns you have, and we'll try to get everything resolved as quickly as possible. But we did go to every classroom and tested every teacher computer, so they're working.
Thank you, Mr. Lewis.
You're welcome.
The last part of our program this morning is just going to be going over the professional development opportunities and the plan for the rest of the school year. As I alluded to earlier, we really are just focused on those engagement strategies for hybrid instruction. So what's going on when you're doing that simultaneous instruction, and some strategies to help you engage both the group sitting in front of you in the classroom and the group of students at home, because we all know how important it is to have equitable access for our students, whether their families chose for them to come into the classroom or to stay at home. And that's the purpose of our simultaneous instruction. For today's professional development, you're going to have 3 options. Each of the options for professional development include an overview of Go Guardian with a choice of another engagement strategy. And I'll be delineating those a little more clearly in a slide a little further along. They are leveled from beginner, intermediate to intermediate advanced, and that's noted on the agenda that was sent to you via email. And also there was an attachment specific to the professional developments that has that information. Once again, we're very lucky to have Leanna Davis, Melissa Hasemeyer, Sylvia Mayer, Janelle Wright, and Catherine O'Callahan serve as our trainers the way that they did at the beginning of the school year. And because we know how important it is for you to have ongoing professional development and support, we're going to be offering, beginning next week, optional weekly office hours with our trainers. The office hours are going to be focused on about a 20 to 30-minute professional development or follow-up and a 30-minute question and answer period. We will be populating the topics for those office hours through a survey that the teachers who are training you today will provide at the end of their training, which will allow you to note any other topics or extensions that you're interested in having more training on. We will be providing the calendar for these topics through EdTech Chats calendar, which I shared with all certificated staff and principals and assistant principals yesterday. So you should have an email prompting you to add that. Our trainers will also address the calendar with you today to teach you how to access it if you're unable to. And they also started building an EdTech Chats website where they're going to post all of the PowerPoints and resources that they cover both in today's professional development and in the professional developments that they create as part of their EdTech Chats or their office hours that are going to be offered weekly. We do have chats set up already for next week. I believe right now on calendar, last time I looked, there's a chat with a different trainer every day next week that has a follow-up to whatever training topic they're providing today. Get the next slide, please. Thank you. So before we go on and I send you off to your professional development topic, and you have maybe a 5 to 10 minute break before that, we would like to get your feedback and support today. And those of you who were struggling with the login this morning, I appreciate the emails and texts that I received from many of you, either giving me a tip so I could give everyone else a tip of how to be able to get the link, or just letting me know that we were struggling a little bit. And I appreciate that Mr. Lewis was able to do a reply all on that email and give you a clean link for those of you who are still struggling to be able to get in to join us this morning. This QR code that's on this slide is for a Padlet, so you can scan it with the camera of your telephone, and there should be a message at the top that you can click on. A Padlet is kind of like an exit ticket board where you can click the plus sign under each of the topics and add comments, and they will post kind of like a post-it that you would have students post as they walked out of your classroom. So please use this Padlet to ask questions that you would like answers to. We can always produce a frequently asked questions document and send that out to request support, so we can get you in contact with the right person to help you with whatever it is that you need, and to give us feedback about how we can improve the support that we're giving you, or other things that you need from us, so that we can help to support your work in the coming months and in the coming years. And then this is our last slide. I just wanted to review the hybrid learning professional development choices that you have today. You will only choose one session today. The session will last the entire hour from 9:15 to 10:15. Session 1 would be considered a beginner or intermediate session. In this session, they will cover Google breakout rooms, Google surveys, and GoGuardian. In session 2, which is considered an intermediate or advanced session, Ms. Mayer will be walking through virtual escape rooms and GoGuardian. Virtual escape rooms are kind of like the in-person escape room, but there are different challenges for students to learn the content that you're wanting to teach. There's a gaming aspect to it, from my understanding. And session 3, which is also considered an intermediate or advanced session, will cover GoGuardian once again, and Jamboard. And Jamboard is, if you're not familiar, an interactive whiteboard where your students can post notes and information on the Jamboard. You can kind of do that as a big community. So these session links they're all going to be Google Classroom links that the trainers provided to me. They are on the agenda attached to the email that I sent out to you last week and then again yesterday. The title of that email was Spring Welcome Back in Hybrid Learning PD, in case you need to search for it. And there's also attached to that a professional development overview that has the links and a short paragraph explaining what each of the trainings will cover for the day. So we wish you all a wonderful first day back of learning this morning and organizing yourselves this afternoon. And we hope that you find all the technology in your classroom working and ready to go. But if you don't, please don't hesitate to reach out to Mr. Lewis and his team. They will have tech support on campuses today to help you get and make sure that all of your tech is up and running and prepared for you to open your classrooms to students beginning the week of the 12th. Thank you so much. such a trooper, Marilyn. You didn't even need to be here. This was an optional